Hello and thank you for watching Tomorrow's America. My name is William Donahue. Today I'm going to try and switch it up from the Iran topic. We've been talking about Iran a lot, and there's some other things going on. Big things like the Bilderberg group meeting, which I'm not sure many people, really pay attention to that. It is a meeting that they have under Chatham House rules. We'll get into all that. Ticks are a huge problem in the United States right now. The Strait of Hormuz being blockaded, double blockaded by Trump. We'll talk about that. And the ceasefire's falling apart. And then Eric Swalwell quit. We reported the other day that Eric Swalwell had a sexual assault allegation against him. Now he has quit as a result, so we'll look at his statement on that. Before we get into all that, please like and share this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, send this to everyone you know who is like-minded or people that might not be like-minded. This is good information. And it's really not one-sided. I try and focus on the facts, and I'm opinionated, but it aligns with the facts. So I try to get my point across, as judiciously as possible. If anyone has any different opinions on things, leave a comment. Leave a comment, but don't leave one of these crazy comments where people are like, you guys are ignorant, you don't know anything, you guys are stupid. That doesn't do anything for me. What I need is you to say, hey, what you said about Hormuz is wrong. This, and this happened. Look into it, because I'll come back and I'll do a whole report about how I was wrong and about what the commenter told me and, where to find things if it is credible or relevant. You know what I mean? You're not going to send me something ideological. Don't send me anything about religion. I'm not looking to I guess you could, but not relating to the war. I'm not into that. The war and the Pope and the whole thing. The Pope can make a statement. Trump coming out after him and saying that he's weak on crime. The Pope doesn't deal with crime. So anyway, got a little off topic, but I want to show you. We're going to talk about the Bilderberg meeting first. So the Bilderberg meeting took place over the weekend in Washington, D.C. And this meeting is basically a bunch of tech owners, CEOs of tech companies, politicians, kings, queens, all kinds of business people, and now you can buy your way in. So this meeting is important because this used to be a secret meeting that only people who got access to a leaked schedule or a leaked guest list, different things like that, and you'd have to go and show up, and you'd get harassed by the security at whatever hotel. They had things cleared out. So the Bilderberg meeting was always a conspiracy theory as far as the media was concerned, and the government and all these things. And too many people captured it on film, all these politicians going in there and exposed it. So they had to come out, and they've basically slow rolled the exposure of this meeting. And now they have a website now where you can go on and you can, read any of their public speeches. Any of their speeches are public. But the problem with the meeting is that, like I said before, it's under Chatham House rules. So Chatham House rules is related to something in England, but essentially, without going into the whole history of it, the Chatham House rules are you don't say what was said privately in the meeting. So all of them are sworn to this secrecy that go to these meetings, and they have discussions about all kinds of things, AI, um, a bunch of different topics. So essentially, with their public speeches that they put out, those are, just speeches about whatever industries that they're in charge of or countries that they're dealing with, national conflicts, all that stuff. But then they go and they have lunches and all that stuff. And I'm sure that they have conversations, and there is Chatham House rules. They're not allowed to talk about that stuff. And we don't know what kind of deals they're making, in the back rooms of this place. But basically, my point is that this used to be a secret meeting. This article that you're seeing here is from 2023. It says a secretive annual meeting attended by the world's elites has AI top of the agenda. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman will join forces with key leadership from Microsoft, DeepMind, and Google on Thursday. So it goes through kind of their whole meeting. But this here was, towards the end of the rollout, and they're still calling it a secretive meeting in 2023. People have been going to these meetings for years and years. Like, I don't even know how long, to be honest, but before the early 2000s, I know that for a fact, because people who went to these meetings in the early 2000s went there and said, this guy's an old timer. He's been doing this for years. So probably 40 years of people trying to expose this. And yeah, so I mean, think about it. What if your senator went in there and had secret behind closed doors meetings? Not that, people really pay attention anyway, but these meetings are all, everything that politicians do is supposed to be like a public record. You can't go and have a meeting with a foreign leader behind closed doors and make all kinds of deals. You're supposed to um, you know, have all your conversations recorded, or at least transcribed. I don't know. I don't know what the rules are on that exactly, but I guess in my mind, essentially, ideally, that would be the rules. You can't be a public servant and have behind closed doors meetings. I'm pretty sure that that's illegal, but I remember a month ago that Trump had some secret meeting with Netanyahu, and now we're at war with Iran, so I guess I guess they allow it when they want to. Okay, so this article here, I'm pulling it up for you. It's I'm the ticks. The ticks are a huge problem. The ticks around here, my cousin took a walk. He took a walk and ended up having like 14 ticks uh, on him, on his family, on himself a few, on his two daughters a few, on his wife a few. Um, and then my aunt, after they got back from the walk, after all changing their clothes and checking each other for ticks and all that, my aunt babysat my niece, or my cousin, well, my second cousin, I guess, babysat her, and she got a tick on her. My aunt got a tick on her from somewhere. I'm not sure if it was from her house or I don't know. So this article is not pulling up, but people have been telling me they see videos of uh, people with boxes of ticks in their farm field. They see all kinds of things like that on the internet. saying that the tick problem is a massive problem. I'm going to put this on the screen here. This article from Mid Coast continues, or from Penobscot Bay Pilot. So I don't know what that is, but Mid Coast continues in participation in international Lyme disease vaccine study. As ticks emerge and seek hosts, be vigilant in care of yourself and pets. Sorry, the font's super small. Just 1 year ago, a number of Mid-Coast residents were participating in a clinical study to help develop a vaccine against Lyme disease. This Pfizer Lyme vaccine study was coordinated locally by Maine Health, Penn Bay Hospital Clinical Research in Rockport, and in conjunction with Tufts University. So, this Lyme disease, they're coming out with a Lyme disease vaccine, and of course, while they're finishing the final stages of rolling it out, Lyme disease is off the charts. Ticks are everywhere. And, the only thing that I could think of when I start seeing this happen is this TED talk that Bill Gates did, and he's like, oh yeah, cows are a problem because they put CO2 and methane in the air when they fart or whatever. um and he said that what he wanted to do was get people bitten by ticks that gave them some modified Lyme's disease that would make you allergic to red meat. So, if I'm remembering that right, it was Bill Gates, and he was putting this forward, and now just in time we got tons of ticks, and be ready for a Pfizer vaccine. So, the Strait of Hormuz, the the peace talks that Trump and Iran had, or JD Vance, they had these peace talks, and every article I've read says that the talks were going well, and then last minute, the Trump administration went maximalist with all these demands. The whole thing fell apart, and then Iran. Meanwhile, while the ceasefire is going on, the U.S. is driving into the Strait of Hormuz with military ships and trying to demine the strait. And there's a standoff between the two navies, which I don't know how their navy was destroyed, but their navy was there, and they were calling out to U.S. naval ships and saying, "Hey, don't come through here." And the U.S. said, "Oh, we're in international water and we don't mean you any harm." And they're going through and they're doing whatever in the Strait of Hormuz while the ceasefire is going on, the talks are going on, and then Israel's bombing Lebanon all this time. And even though the original ceasefire that they supposedly agreed on earlier in the week said that us or our allies would not do any military action against Iran, its allies, and Lebanon specifically. So we agreed to that and did not follow it. And it just drives me nuts because we're trying to be the bullies in the situation, and we could have came across with this and said, "Hey, what's going on? What do you guys need? How can we make this benefit you?" Okay, if we're going to do that, we got to do it like this because we need oil to be traded in our currency or whatever the case may be. But we could have came in as negotiators. We came in and killed their negotiators and started this whole war. It was our aggression, U.S. and Israel aggression, that started this. Then we come to the ceasefire, and we think that we're making the demands, even though we need them to open the Strait of Hormuz, and we didn't topple the regime when we thought we were gonna. And it's just nuts because the whole thing could have been avoided. The whole thing could have been avoided. So now the ceasefire falls apart. The Strait of Hormuz is closed again by Iran, but Iran is letting through uh, Chinese ships, Pakistan ships, basically all the ships that are their allies, or Iranian flagged ships that trade to those places. So now Trump is setting up a blockade outside of the blockade to block Iranian flagships, since Iran wants to block US and all other ships from exiting the Strait of Hormuz and from entering the Strait of Hormuz. Now Trump is going to try and pull the same. Basically, this is economic warfare. He's going to try and pull the same strategic move, but we don't really we already don't have the Navy there to go into the Strait of Hormuz and handle this operation. No one will back us up from NATO or the European countries because we started this conflict, and we are basically biting off more than we can chew. That's what Scott Ritter said, and I thought that was the way that he described it was probably some of what I said was taken from what he said subconsciously because he was so smart about it. But essentially, he boiled it down to we bit off more than we can chew. So now, as a show of force or whatever, we're going to block it off. And we're going to block off Chinese ships, all kinds of ships. So here's where the conflict grows. Wars, like Michael Yan says, wars grow and they grow unpredictably. So we got this massive war, and I don't know. I don't know because it's dragging on so long. Before I was scared that well, not scared, but I was concerned that all these countries were going to try and come to Iran's aid. Basically, we have this standoff between the BRICS nations, the UN, and the petrodollar, and the West versus the East. Basically, we have this conflict that is so multifaceted. You got religious differences, ideologies, cultural differences, and just countries that have individual rivalries that could drag the whole thing in. So what we're looking at is Iran and Israel, Ukraine, Russia, China and Taiwan are always having disputes about different things. And I thought that it was going to blow up. Now that this has gone on so long, I don't know. I don't know what the long term plan is, or no one will say what the long term plan is. So I don't know what the long term plan is, or, what we're going to feel from this, but we are going to feel something from this. We are going to feel the effects of this because the Strait of Hormuz has been closed. Now, anything that came out of there, the day that it closed, any ships that came out of there have already reached their destination. That stuff's being distributed right now to businesses or whatever products are being distributed right now, and probably have or are about to reach their local distribution type centers and going to be used up pretty soon. So we have now, from the time that the Strait of Hormuz was closed till this war ends, is the amount of time that 1/3 of the world's oil, a third of the world's helium, a third of whatever. All these different resources are now blocked for that amount of time, and there's going to be a shortage for that amount of time or longer, depending on the toll in the Strait of Hormuz. All these different factors. It's a skinny riverway, so it takes a while for ships to exit all those ships that have been stuck there and for new ones to enter. And now, if they put in a toll, it'll take even longer. But we are going to feel the effects of this closure. We're not feeling it yet, other than gas prices, which are literally based on nothing. The gas that they're selling us is still gas. Um, it's well, when the conflict started, the price went up, and that was still gas from before the conflict. People bought that gas before this conflict ever started. So I don't know now if we're using gas from different sources yet or what exactly um the deal is with that, but I do know that we are at the beginning of feeling the effects of this. Okay. Whew. Talking myself, or I'm talking too fast. Okay, so this is my last article for the show. And basically, well, it's an X post, it's not an article, but basically, Representative Eric Swalwell, this is a statement on congressional resignation. I am deeply sorry to my family and staff and constituents for mistakes in judgment I've made in the past. I will fight the serious false allegations made against me. However, must take responsibility and ownership for the mistakes I did make. So, I, I don't know. This first paragraph just completely contradicts itself. I am deeply sorry to my family and staff and constituents for mistakes in judgment. But then he says, I will fight the serious false allegations made against me. I must take responsibility and ownership for the mistakes I did make. So if there's false allegations that you're sorry about, but you have to take ownership for them. Then he goes on to say, I'm aware of efforts to bring an immediate expulsion vote against me and other members. Expelling anyone in Congress without due process within days of an allegation being made is wrong. So maybe there's a dispute there with the constitutionality of kicking him out or whatever the case is. But he resigned. So he resigned before he was before he was expelled. So him mentioning that makes no sense because he doesn't even have this standing. He didn't get kicked out. That's like saying this company fired me and they were discriminating against me. And then, the cops go and look into it and find out that you quit. So I don't know what he's trying to say there. I will work with my staff in the coming days to ensure they are able, in my absence, to serve the needs of the people of the 14th Congressional District. So I'm glad that he's gone. He's never come across as a genuine person to me. Something about just his facial structure. He's like not a manly man. And it's not. I mean, he looks like a normal person, but something about his like demeanor and his posture. He's not a manly man. I get on here and I have trouble like speaking. I always get stage fright and whatever. When I was a kid, I was like the kid that couldn't read his paper in class. But that's, something that I deal with, and I come on here and I get awkward or whatever happens when I'm talking. I don't know. I don't know. I always feel like it's going to be worse than it is, and then I watch it later. I'm like, oh, I didn't do too bad. Well, this guy, he's a great speaker, but he has like an emptiness to him. I don't know. So, anyway, I'm glad that he's gone, and hope that they replace him with someone that is not a swamp creature like that. Did you know that the incumbents, the sitting person in whatever office, 93% of the time, Americans vote the incumbent back into office? 93% of the time. That's like a ridiculous statistic. What 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 are we doing? We have all these problems, but we keep voting for the same people. So okay, so thank you for watching. I hope that everyone enjoyed the show. Please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And yeah, thank you for watching, and have a great night.